and today we are going to be talking about a super cool island that we hold dear to us, and we feel that it's only right to bring you guys along for the ride and let you guys know exactly how it is that God spoke to us while on this island.
Yeah, it's not a very known island, but it's a very special island, and we're just going to tell you guys a little bit about it and our story on the island.
Okay, so many people haven't heard of this island, and fun fact, there's actually two of them. There is a smaller one, a little one, and a big one, which is the one that we happen to be on today. So I'm sure by now, like, everyone's just wanting to know, like, what island we're talking about, because we keep on referring to the island as island. So let's just go ahead and give the people what they want and let them know what island it is. The island that we are referring to in this video is Bighorn Island. I'm going to go ahead and let you explain to them exactly like where this island is located, and why it's just like so off grid.
Yeah, so not a lot of people know about this island, Bighorn Island. It is located off the coast, the east coast of Nicaragua.
And it's on the Caribbean Sea.
Yep, and it's called Bighorn Island, but it's actually a really small island.
Yeah, it's just
Bighorn because it's bigger than small.
Little Corn.
Small corn.
Small corn.
Little Corn Island.
So where do we begin in terms of how we discovered this island?
Well, I think a good place to start would be kind of just letting everyone know the mindset we had and how we wanted to kind of just, like, live a different life.
So like, I think we were kind of just one night talking about possibly moving outside of the country.
Yeah.
Because we just felt like the American lifestyle wasn't aligned with our souls.
Amen.
And so I remember countless amount of times actually where we would kind of just like talk about life elsewhere, life where our money could go farther.
That's a big one too.
That was a major part of the reason why we were looking to like move.
Yeah, because we're not the type of people, we don't want to just work and not be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, I remember we were just like, I think like one night just randomly talking about some of our like dream home, dream country must-haves.
We had a list of countries that we were like crossing off. Like
we started creating like a list of countries that could have been potential like places that we moved to. So one by one we would like do our research, and then we would kind of like weigh the pros and cons of moving there, right? And so we had landed on Nicaragua as being like one of the places that could have been a potential move to country.
So from there, we're like, okay, well, we got to go see Nicaragua, right? We got to go there. We got to feel out the vibe in Nicaragua. We got to see if it's something that we feel like
is like aligned. And luckily for us, it was like perfect timing, because that was right around the time that we were experiencing like major burnout from school, and spring break was like right around the corner.
Yep.
So we were able to kind of like plan our trip around spring break.
Yep.
And so it's going to be like half business, half like vacation trip,
Right.
And we were able to actually make that happen. But I really want to go ahead and talk to you guys about some of our dream country must-haves, right? Some of the things that we really like wanted in the place that we were to move to. With us being like Floridian, we do like warmer climates. Like we do appreciate warmer climates.
The beach.
Like we really wanted like a place with like beaches, like nice beaches. So those were like a few of our must-haves. And then I remember just like talking about wanting like tortoises in our backyard. Like I was having like a tortoise obsession, and I really wanted like tortoises, like just like big tortoises like roaming around and stuff. And I am of Haitian descent, so back at home, like Like, I remember my mom would take me to like Haiti, and we would just like eat this fruit called kinnip, and that is by far like one of my favorite fruits ever. But like in Florida, you know, you don't just like stumble upon kinnip, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so I remember telling Danny that the place that we moved to, I would love for it to have kinnip, because it just made me feel like, I don't know, just like moving to a country that had that would make me feel like I'm not too far from home.
So Nicaragua met the requirements, has the beaches, it's a warmer climate.
Yeah.
Our money goes far here.
Yeah.
So those were like the 3 major check marks.
Yeah, those were like some of the major green flags that had us like, okay, like this is worth checking out. And so we booked our ticket, or we booked our flights, and we literally made it happen.
So the thing is we were looking at Nicaragua, the mainland of Nicaragua. But when we were looking for places in Nicaragua,
yes, we were like
up?
Airbnb-ing. Like we were Airbnb-ing, trying to find like some super cost efficient like places to stay, because we really weren't looking to spend too much, because again, like half business, half vacation.
It was more like, let's just see the place. It doesn't matter where we're sleeping at night. Like,
we just wanted to like check out the vibes, you know? And it's funny because we had stumbled upon this one Airbnb, and I had actually already like booked it and everything. But then after booking it, I was like scrolling through the app, and I noticed this better one that just had like beautiful, beautiful water.
Price was still low.
It was actually lower than the one that I had booked. And Danny was at work, so like when he came home and we were kind of just like discussing everything, I let him know that I had stumbled on a much cheaper, Airbnb. Yeah, exactly, with like really, really pretty water. And so at that point, we made the decision, and he was like, he thought it was cool, and that, he was willing to like switch it out. And so we went for it, right? The only issue is that when we had clicked on that Airbnb, trying to like figure out where it was located in Nicaragua, we realized that it wasn't in Nicaragua.
It was on the island, Bighorn Island.
Yes, it was
on the coast of Nicaragua.
Exactly.
And then we're like, okay, well, like, how do we get there, right?
Exactly. Fast forward, we basically get on the island, and I'm not gonna lie, like when we had first landed, okay, it was really hard to like see the beauty of the island, because it was like early morning, and him and I were both like jet lagged, so
very jet lagged.
We just like slept, and chilled a little bit, so we didn't really like venture off to see like what this island like had to offer.
Yep.
But like it was more of like a gradual thing for us. Like the more time we spent on the island, the more we were like opening up to the island. And it was due to like several things, you know what I mean? Like the weather was spectacular. It's got that Florida
heat.
Sun. Yes, that Florida sun, that Florida heat, minus the humidity.
Yeah.
So it's very like windy.
Yeah, it's a little island, so there's a lot of breeze that comes through, which is amazing.
Yeah, and we definitely like enjoyed that. Also, like the people, I don't know, like their accents remind me of like Jamaica. Like it's like broken English, and the vibes are just like so immaculate.
Excuse me, babe. Thank you.
Everyone is just so chill here, and so that was another reason why I think we were like really vibing with the island. And then of course the water. The water.
Yeah,
like
we're gonna have to get some
finally like got access to like the beach, and we were able to really have like a few beach days here. It was ridiculously beautiful. Like we went snorkeling here. I mean, like just see through. I don't even think I needed. Like, did we even really need snorkeling? Like we didn't need the goggles.
Snorkeling again.
It was so nice.
The reefs are so beautiful. They have like real deal like coral reefs that are not tampered with. Nothing. It's so natural and beautiful.
Yeah. So
a must.
All of that pretty much like had us on some like, okay, we are now interested in possibly, settling here. So at first it was Nicaragua, and then we discovered Corn Island, and we're like, wow, like maybe this is it, because like it felt more like home, you know. With that being said, I'm trying to think of anything else that we're missing right now.
As far as like what was like a green flag?
Yeah, I think we covered like most of them though. Like, yeah, that was pretty much it. So after Danny and I decided that, this place was a vibe, we started kind of trying to see what like land, like how much land would cost around here. So we did a lot of networking and
a lot of
walking
around, talking to people, trying to get an idea. Like, do you know anyone who's selling land? Do you have any connections of someone who might be selling land? Like looking at little pieces and spots and just being like, I can see like us doing something here. Like we were just really going for it.
And that is what's like so beautiful. Like Danny and I, we had like a vision. So like we saw it before we even saw it. Like we were just walking around, not even knowing if
it was available.
We didn't even know if the land was available, but we were just saying like, this is nice, and we could see a home here and things like that.
Yeah.
But really, it's not even like we had the money to invest in land, but we just wanted to have like a general idea of how much land would cost, had we wanted to invest, which we did. So we come in contact with this really cool guy, and we became friends, like super, like it was.
And how did that like connection, like how did we get that? Like there was land for sale, right next to his home there, and we were just walking.
But actually, hold on now, because even before then, we got to really say it how it is. Like we were eating, and after our meal, there was someone waiting outside of the restaurant. There was this girl, she was waiting outside of the restaurant, and there was some type of illness that she had, and we don't exactly remember like what it was. Yeah. But she had asked us for a few Cordobas so that she could take a taxi or something. And so we offered that to her, but we also wanted to pray for her. And after praying for her, I don't know, like her energy was just like so contagious. And so we stood there for a good like 20, 30 minutes just talking. She told us about her uncle, right? And we were like, oh, okay, awesome. She was like, he doesn't live too far from here. And we were like, okay, cool. We start walking down that way. We see a land for sale sign.
See that sign, and we're intrigued at that point, and we're wanting to see the land that's for sale. So we go up to the land, we walk on it, and this man comes out, and the man that comes out happens to be the uncle of the woman that we met at the restaurant.
That's true. Like he comes out. So while we're looking for, we're like intrigued in the land and everything, and we kind of just like want to walk around and see. And he was guiding us at first because there were like a few pitfalls that were there, and so he was kind of like guiding us through it and letting us know like a better way to be able to see like the land and everything. So through that, we end up conversing with him, and we find out that yes, in fact, that he was her uncle. That was pretty cool. And he kind of just became like a close contact for us. The energy was there. And so within like the next few days, he was just like our guide, like our land guide.
A blessing.
And it's just so crazy because like every day we went out to find land, it's like there would be signs that we would get as if like God was saying, yes, like this is something that I have for you.
Each time something would happen, and we'd be like looking at each other like.
And it was like the type of like synchronicities that were just impossible to ignore. It was like, no, this is God. It was crazy. For instance, we said that we wanted Kinep. Right? When we were discussing our dream home must-haves or dream country must-haves,
you were wanting a Kinep tree.
I was wanting a Kinep tree
on our land. Like that was like a vision that you had.
Yeah. And one day we're in a cab, we're in a taxi with him, and he's driving us around. Well, actually, he was in the passenger seat. Someone else was driving us around. And the person that was driving us around ends up stopping this man on the side of the road who was just like riding around with like, he was rolling a wagon around, right?
A wheelbarrow, yeah.
Yeah, a wheelbarrow. And so he stops him and he wants to buy whatever it is that's in that wheelbarrow. But Danny and I at the time, we had no idea what was in it. And it wasn't until after he purchased what was in that wheelbarrow that we were able to see what it was. And it's so funny because they lowered the back window and actually gave us some, and it was complimentary. It's almost like God wanted us to know, like, like he put it right in front of our faces, like, hello, you know what I mean? And so that was the first sign.
Kinep.
It was the Kinep. So it was Kinep in that wheelbarrow, and that was one of the first things that we considered to be like a sign.
We were like, oh, okay, Like at that point, it's like that's the first sign. The first sign is always kind of like.
Yeah, we were still like.
Yeah, doubtful. We felt it, but we're still like, okay, like it's an island. They have Kinep. That's cool.
Yeah, but then there were other spots too. Like one day we stopped by and we're drinking water. We just stopped by this little like bar because
Right.
we were really thirsty and we were walking around in the sun all day trying to find like potentials. And so Danny, I think, lost his glasses or something, or like he left his glasses there, and so he went.
No,
went
actually,
back.
it was my sandals. I left my slides at the bar. And I was walking barefoot. My sunglasses were already gone.
Yeah,
RIP.
we don't know what happened.
But then I went back to the bar and I was like getting my slides.
Because we were getting ready to leave.
We already left. Both of us left the bar.
Yeah.
I left my slides, so I'm like, I gotta go get my slides.
Yeah.
When I get back to the bar, the bartender's like, come with me, like just like come
Randomly.
back, come look at this. Come look at this.
So he was
So I'm like, okay.
further ahead of me.
Right.
Might I add, like you were further ahead of me.
Yeah.
So you had access to that sooner than I did. I was kind of like
I followed the bartender back behind the bar, and it was this little area that they were keeping these animals, and I was looking at the animals.
And I didn't know that there were living things in there because I was just weirded out at the fact that he was being told to go behind the restaurant.
And I'm like, babe, come over here, because I'm looking at what I'm seeing is crazy.
Yeah.
This woman had tortoises behind her bar, just randomly had a bunch of tortoises.
And it's just so crazy because it's just like we are at a bar and she just called him over right before we left, which I also feel like was God just saying, hey, come see this,
Amen.
And so those are just like a few things that happened that led us to feeling like, all right, like this is a line. And so by this point, we are pumped. Like we are ready for land.
That was a sign. Like that. Yeah.
But unfortunately, it was a bit discouraging because the more we looked for land with our land guide, like the worse it got in terms of price because nothing was within our budget. Like
discouragement entered the chat.
Yeah.
We were really just kind of like, oh, well, I don't think we're going to be able to do this at least anytime soon.
Oh my gosh.
We're college students, we're trying to figure ourselves out.
It was ridiculously high. We didn't even have a budget, but I know for a fact, like, that wasn't within the budget. And so I think that was right around the time that we decided that we wanted to kind of just enjoy our trip. Like we were tired of being let down, it was becoming a downer for us. And so we were like, we don't have that much time left here on the island. Let's just like soak up the energy and see what we can get into before we have to go back home. There was a restaurant that we had wanted to go to for a little while. But we didn't have like, the time to, but since the land idea had flopped, we figured, we might as well. Unfortunately, though, we get to the restaurant and it is closed. So at that point, everything just seems to be going wrong and we were just absolutely crushed. But God, okay?
But God.
God intervened like no other. So we're like literally leaving the restaurant all mopey and just really annoyed. And as we're leaving, Danny gets a call. He gets a call from our land guide. And it's weird because I was in such a bad mood at the time. And what the guy was saying was like inaudible, but I was pretty much like behind the phone, like saying no, like, you know what I mean? Because I was just so annoyed, like, because Danny's on the phone and he's like, yeah, sure, like, yeah. And I just didn't know.
She's looking at me like.
I didn't know what this guy was like selling us. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew that I was tired of the prices. So yeah, Danny gets off the phone with him and he ends up saying, he's like,
okay, so I answered the phone and he's like, I got good news, brother. And I was like, okay, what is it? And he's giving me a price on a piece of land that he may have for us that we may want to invest in. And it's a lot better. It's a lot more cost efficient.
And so that's what he's hearing on that end. Finally, when he gets off the phone, he shares that news with me. And at first I didn't believe it because I was like, there's just like no way, there's just no way, but yeah, there was a way.
He makes a way
when there is no way.
Amen.
And it was such a revelation, and I felt like he just spoke to us so much. It's like once we entered a season of contentment and we gave up the control,
yep,
he took care of our needs. And for that, we're just so grateful. And this is why this island is so special to us, because God really spoke to us here, and He continues to speak to us here.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's
That's
it for
really
today, YouTube. That's what we wanted to share with you guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
Yeah, I guess it's like just a testimony of keep your hopes up. Like sometimes you just got to release the control and give it to God, do His work, and
Amen.
be content with what you have. Just be happy,
Yeah.
and something amazing will happen.
Amen. So we are going to enjoy this coconut and probably dip our feet in the water. It is so hot out, okay?
Crazy.
But we were willing to make that sacrifice for you guys and shoot this content. We will catch you guys next time.